Namaste to everybody. You can hear me? Sound is all right? Good. So we are going to study now the verse 14 from the 4th chapter of Svetashvatara Upanishad. Okay? No picture? You need to log out and log back on, Kate, because I think something did not register. Please try that. Good. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Now, verse 14, moving on in chapter 4, okay? We will chant that, and those who are joining for the first time, in this current class text, if you scroll, you will find Svetashvatara Upanishad. You will find that, okay? Yeah. सूक्ष्मातिसूक्ष्मं कलिलस्य मध्ये विश्वस्य स्रष्टारमनेकरूपम् विश्वस्यैकं परिवेष्टितारं ज्ञात्वा शिवं शान्तिमत्यन्तमेति. सूक्ष्मातिसूक्ष्मं कलिलस्य मध्ये विश्वस्य स्रष्टारमनेकरूपं विश्वस्यैकं परिवेष्टितारं ज्ञात्वा शिवं शान्तिमत्यन्तमेति. Very nice verse. Sukshma ati sukshmam. Sukshmat sukshmam. Sukshma means subtle. So we'll just see the meaning and then we'll go into the verse, into the mantra. So sukshma means subtle. Subtle in what way? I mean, there are so many things that are subtle. But here, sukshmati sukshmam, subtler than the subtlest. Yeah. Meaning, it is not available for objectification. So, subtle in that sense, okay? Sukshmati sukshmam. This next word is very interesting. Kalilasya madhye. Madhye means in between, in the middle of. Middle of what? Kalila. Kalila means what? Any ideas what Kalila means? Kalila is another derivation of the word Kali. Kali means that which is full of strife. Strife and lot of conflict, inner and outer, and lot of wrongdoings. That's why it's called Kali Yuga, because all these things preponderate. Adharma preponderates in Kali Yuga, in the time of Kali, and conflict and fears, resentment, all the things that one doesn't want in one's life predominates in Kali Yuga. Now, the whole thing is very interesting, because here we are not so much talking about Kali Yuga as this, whatever we are talking about, the Atma Brahman here, Bhagavan, living in the midst of conflict, in the midst of strife, in the midst of all kinds of chaos, cacophony. Okay, we'll see more of that. And Vishwasya Srashta. Srashtr is the word. Srashta. Srashta means the creator. Srishtikarta, Srashta. Vishwasya Srashta. Vishwa here means the whole universe, the Jagat. The creator of the Jagat. Aneka Rupam, many forms, of many forms. Because we have seen in this Upanishad very clearly and repeatedly there is a theme that which is has as though become many without undergoing any change. Just like without undergoing any change, you quote unquote become many in projecting the dream world. So you pervade the dream world and and without undergoing any change. In the dream, you are the flora, you are the fauna, you are the other people there, you are Chara Charatmakam, dream Jagat. You are the dream Jagat which has both moving and non-moving entities, and sentient and what? Insentient as well. And so all this is there, and that means that you are, you are everything. You are projecting it, and the material for the dream Jagat projection is what is again your own memory, your own knowledge, your own desire. And your own memory, knowledge and desire are the material for the dream Jagat and the dream world. Okay? And I have to record this, I suppose. Yeah, no. There is an echo. What is happening? Oh, okay. Is it better now? Is it gone? Okay, wonderful. Nice. Okay, I think that's resolved. I also remembered to record. Yeah. Going back to our discussion. Just like you permeate the dream world. Oh, you are recording there? You can do that? Oh, wonderful. Then I don't have to think about this. So nice. So, so the dream world is permeated, pervaded by your own memory, your own desires, and whatever you know, your knowledge. So memory, desire, and knowledge are the raw material for the projection of the dream world, which is non-separate from you, really. And so in this sense, this projection is non-separate from you. And if you look at the Jagat, Ishvara's Jagat, Vishwasya Srashta. So the creator of the Jagat, what is the raw material for the Jagat? Same thing. Memory. What was the memory? How was it in the last cycle? Recalling how it was from the last cycle itself is the sankalpa, the intentionality for the Jagat to come into being. Very beautiful. Memory, desire, so kamayat bahusyam praja gegeti saha akamayat, the being desired. How come Brahman has desires? No, it's just as though. It's all as though here. It's not, really that Brahman has some kind of a. First of all, Brahman doesn't create, and neither does Ishvara create. The creation is as though, and the desire is also as though. The desire, so to speak, is the desire of the jivas, clamoring for the desire of the disembodied jivas who are non-separate from Bhagavan, clamoring for individuation and individuality, clamoring for bodies, and the bodies cannot be just in the air, so clamoring for lokas, for the bodies to be placed, and for the lokas means fields of experiences. So, because the desire does not fulfill itself without action, and so you need the organs of action, and the desire means experience of whatever one's object of desire is. So you need the sense organs, and then just because you're endowed with sense organs and organs of actions, you can't just be floating around in the ether. You need a place to plant those organs of action, and you need objects to be able to interact with the sense organs and fulfill the desire. So it's a very complicated thing. So here the desire is not Bhagavan's desire, it's the desire of the jivas displaced, as it were, or or the jivas' desires, the disembodied jivas that are one with Bhagavan, so to speak, are wanting to separate. So it's their desire that Bhagavan is responding to. Memory from how the last cycle of creation was. So it's a similar operation, so to speak, from the point of view of, keeping the intention, upholding that intention. And then finally what? Memory, desire, and then knowledge. So the knowledge of the Jagat, how everything should be, how your karma should interact with somebody else's. Yeah, why your karma is interacting with someone else's, and how in the process something else happens. And so like this, people get married who never thought they would get married, and people have children, and the children wonder why I'm born to these parents. Sometimes parents also wonder how to this one has come from us, how, because there's nothing in common except a karmic trajectory of certain things to be learnt, certain things to be, understood, certain experiences to be had. And so like this, the karmas intersect, and all this is, knowledge. This knowledge is not just general knowledge of the Jagat or general knowledge per se. No, it is knowledge of specific things that come out at certain times, specific things that, take shape, specific things that take, what's that? That take certain forms. So, and specific things that are discovered only at certain times. Some creatures in the sea, we don't even know they exist. And recently they are coming out with photos of deep sea creatures. And this happens in NASA all the time. A habitable star in the Goldilocks zone. Goldilocks means neither too hot nor too cold. Yeah, so habitable stars, habitable planets, and habitable systems. And the people are in search of that because we are destroying the planet, the one planet that we have. So naturally the mind goes towards colonizing other places, building colonies on the moon. And somebody, yesterday, I did not read the news, but I saw the headlines. This entrepreneur wants to give you some, wants to brew some beer after going to moon. Why, don't ask, because I told you I haven't read that piece. I suppose this can really be called moonshine, if that's what he does. But some entrepreneur wants to go and brew the beer on the moon. Okay? And so like this, one is in search of other places, because that is the human mind. So many desire to spread everywhere. So similar, so all these things that are suddenly discovered, there is no suddenness about it. Suddenly this star, Kepler, something or the other, was discovered. There was no sudden. There was the right time. There is some infallible way in which all these things are coming to light at certain times and certain places. It was always there. It was not that it wasn't there. We just did not look properly. We didn't have the powerful telescope perhaps until recently to be able to look into this. And even if we looked, we didn't see until that appointed time where things are supposed to come. And as mysteriously things just disappear because their work is done. Some things are just gone. Like we don't know, for example, even today, why the dinosaurs became extinct. We don't know. We just know that they are no longer there. That's all, except in museums in a skeletal form. They are there, but or you have to go see movies, Jurassic Park, etc. But they are not there. And if they're not there, that means we can advance certain theories, maybe earthquake, maybe predators, maybe whatnot, maybe the moon came and dropped something there something came from the asteroid or something, we don't know. And so like this, so many theories are there, and we can't prove it because it's gone. And like that, certain things like old technologies are displaced by new ones. Like nobody knows now. I mean, very few people know what this floppy disk is. Before, that's what everybody used to rely on. And that was just 1 megabyte. 1 megabyte is nothing now. We are talking in gigabytes and terabytes and all kinds of things. 1 megabyte is just a byte. Yeah, it's not even a byte. BITE. It's just so little. But in those days, that was a big thing. 1 megabyte, 10 megabytes means, oh, it's a lot of space. And you had to insert that and then take it out, and and this, now it's gone. Nobody knows. And the cassette tape gone. Even these vinyl records gone, but people have this nostalgia, so they keep bringing them back. But those are all, things that are obsolete. And why did they go into obsolescence? There is a certain, logic to it, a certain knowledge to it, a knowledge that we may not understand from our standpoint. We may see it as just random incidences or logical outcomes of the progress, scientific progress, etc. But nonetheless, there is a reason. And so this is something that we have to, see. Vishvasya Srashtaram Aneka Rupam. Both of those are together, to be taken. Aneka Rupam means that which is the creator of the universe, and then the one who is in many, many forms. And so this is a very interesting verse. The first two lines are, beautiful, very beautiful, because it's subtler than the subtlest. This Bhagavan is subtler than the subtlest, meaning not an object of any means of knowledge. Not an object. Why? Because it is verily you. That same consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda, that same awareness, Aham, that awareness, I am, which is all knowledge. Because you can never say I am without simultaneously saying I know I am. When you say I am, you're really saying I know I am. And so, what's the big deal about knowing you are? What the big deal is that this knowledge is limitless. How? In the sense that this I know I am can never become I don't know. A knowing that of one's being that never becomes ignorant, is never ignorant of itself. I am always self-aware, so I cannot say I don't know I am. Are you here? You cannot say I don't know. You cannot even say no. You have to say yes. I am here means what? I know I am. You know? Aham asmi. I am. Aham janami. I know I am. And it's a very interesting janami. I know. Because, know to know is a transitive verb. Transitive means should be an object at the end of it. Know what? I know of my existence. You can say, if you really want to split hairs, I know of my existence. How do you know of your existence? you know, that knowledge of the existence is non-separate from the existence itself. It's an existence that is a knowing existence. So in other words, I am a knowing being who is self-aware, and that knowing never translates into not knowing. That knowing is never overshadowed by ignorance, and which is even, that knowing which is even able to accommodate the ignorance. That is the knowing. So it's a knowing being, and it's a being that is aware of itself, and so therefore what? This knowing being, which is I, and I am only reproducing my own memory, desires, knowledge. But here is Bhagavan, the one whose knowledge and whose memory and whose desires give rise to an infallible Jagat, full of all kinds of, laws. And this giving rise to the Jagat, and that is just like my dream, in the sense that when I inhabit the dream world, I pervade it totally. So Ishvara gives rise to the Jagat, births the Jagat, and pervades it totally. So therefore, Aneka Rupam. Vishwasya Srashtaram Aneka Rupam, of many forms. Whichever form you see is all Bhagavan's form. Very beautiful. There are some beautiful stories told to illustrate this. There's I think I've shared this with you before. There is a story that this old man was tired. He was walking from one place to another, and he got tired. So he thought he'll take a nap, and he found some suitable place under the awning of a temple. The temple was closed, of course, it being midday, but there was a nice awning, and he went to sleep there. Outside, just facing his feet, next to where his feet fell when he slept, there was a Shivalinga, a nice, Shiva, and then, he just slept with the feet facing the Shivalinga, which is not a done thing. You don't point the feet, in front of objects that command, reverence. So, like, you don't point the feet towards elders, towards Bhagavan, towards teachers. You don't do that. You don't point your feet, because the feet are the lowliest portion of the body, and in ancient India everybody walked barefoot everywhere, so unless you really washed it, they were dirty. And then it was also seen as the feet are seen as the metaphorical place as a foundation of your very being. So in that sense, you can't, it's a place of ego. The feet, represent the ahankara. So you don't point your ahankara at all these objects that and entities that command respect and worship. And so the priest of the temple happened to be going there, going back from the temple to his house. He had just walked up and he was going to his house for lunch, and he saw this person sleeping with the feet pointing towards the Shivalinga. And then he said, "Hey, old man, how come you're sleeping like this with the feet pointing towards Shivalinga? Don't you see that this is disrespectful?" And the old man was tired, he was falling asleep, and he said, "I'm just exhausted. Please do me a favor. I did not mean to disrespect you or anyone, any Shiva, nothing. You take my feet and place them wherever you want." And so, saying, he fell asleep. And then, the temple priest took the feet and dragged them to the, what is that, 12 o'clock position from where he was, 6 o'clock position, and put them there. And he dragged the whole body to a 180 degrees and put the feet there. And to his surprise, a Shivalinga rose up there. And then he said, "What is this?" Then he put it at 9 o'clock position. Another Shivalinga rose up. Then he put it at 3 o'clock position. Another Shivalinga rose up. And so all the cardinal directions were covered by Shiva, 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 new ones. And he did not, by this time he understood the message, he did not try the non-cardinal direction, south, east, northwest, nothing. And he fell at the feet of the person and said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't realize who you are, and you have taught me a big, big lesson." So this is a very beautiful story. It is cited a lot. And what this means is that there is a big lesson to be learned about that Bhagavan which one is seeking is not residing in temples or in some corner or somewhere. You don't have to make a pilgrimage. You don't have to go anywhere other than see, have a change of attitude and see everything as Bhagavan, including difficulties, including all kinds of difficulties. The difficulties are also Bhagavan. More difficulties, more Bhagavan, more opportunity to grow. And so like this, one is trained in the tradition to look at everything as Bhagavan. And of course, then everything is Bhagavan means my attitude has to undergo a complete change. Complete change. Because there is always a difference between I and not I. And when the not I proliferates and becomes bigger than the I, that means there is a overdose of samsara. Overdose of samsara. And so the not I is, when that not I is Ishvarized, Bhagavanized, there is only I everywhere. So the not I at some point, like right now in our study, has to be, reckoned with. The not I has to be reckoned with. The not I has to be accounted for, as non-separate from oneself. The not I, the accounts with the not I have to be settled. Have to be settled very, very nicely. And the not I has to be, made peace with. Because that is where the problem is. That is Kali. Because in the beginning we saw that this to understand that I am Bhagavan, you don't need some place free of people, free of everything. Or even better, you don't need a place that is devoid of, what's its name? That's devoid of all kinds of distractions. Or you don't need a place in the afterlife, because this life itself is a distraction. So what should I do? I should go to afterlife. Therefore I'll wait to understand Bhagavan in Brahmaloka. We saw how futile that is last time in the Kathopanishad. I'll wait to go somewhere far and sit there, or I'll wait for afterlife. All these are futile because Bhagavan resides right here, right now, in the midst of the strife and the very strife and conflict that one is trying to avoid. Whatever you are trying to avoid is Bhagavan. Ah, so, rendering the not I null and void. In fact, the category of not I is not there. There is no anatma, there is only atma, pariveshtitaram. The one who has spread out, the one who, is all over, is over, everywhere. And nothing is non-separate from whom. Everything and every situation and every entity, every happening, every joyous event, every challenging or difficult event, non-separate from Bhagavan. So then, where is the not I? Huh? Not I, we can only say one thing about not I, it is not there. It is not there. So what is there is the I saying the not I is there, is not there. So everything is I, because the not I, at this level of understanding, right in the middle of the Upanishad is teaching us to get to that place in our lives where this not I distinction is done away with once and for all. It's done away with because it is futile. So just like the legs of that Swami who was sleeping in front of the temple, wherever the legs were put, there Bhagavan came. Meaning there is nothing inauspicious. There is nothing inauspicious. No body part is inauspicious. No, body event is inauspicious. Nothing is inauspicious. In fact, it's all auspicious, auspicious, auspicious. And what an antidote to the one who has felt I am the source of all inauspiciousness for many, many lifetimes. I'm unlucky, I'm inauspicious, nobody likes me, I'm jinxed, I'm abandoned, I'm an idiot. Look at that. Compare that with this. And you'll see that there is a very, there's a big change that happens. And so I'm insecure, I'm an idiot. All these things are the product of wrong thinking, which is a spin-off of self-ignorance. So as long as there is self-ignorance, what happens? These wrong thinkings, proliferate the mind, take over the mind. And therefore one strives to live the life in the smallest way possible. And after making big barriers, So there is big fence between, one person's house and the other person's house. And why that fence? That fence is to show that my property ends here and your property begins over there. Your property begins over there, my property ends over here. So in other words, stay off. And you may ask, what is wrong with that? I want to have a property and I want to, I paid for it and I have every right to build a fence. If I build a compound, and what's wrong with that? Everybody is doing it. Nothing wrong. But we have to see there is a universal, what is that? There is a universal feeling of insecurity that this kind of a thing brings. That feeling of insecurity we have to look and recognize. Because otherwise, why will we build barricades if we are not afraid? If we are unafraid, there is no need for barricades. Yes, this is, I paid for this. Oh, but the other person, is encroaching. Let them, it's okay. It does not detract from the fact that I paid for it. And if they encroach, I can go and tell them, look, this is something I have paid for. This is, can you please do whatever you want on your side of the thing or whatever. So, but this whole thing where we wall ourselves in. Even the house, wall ourselves in our houses, and the walls are there, rooms are there, and okay, if not the whole house, I have my own room. I can go and close the door and I feel secure. Who's the one who is feeling secure? The insecure entity. And this unravels totally, especially if you're talking about a flat. And Pujya Swamiji tells this story very nicely. He went to inaugurate a flat in Mumbai when somebody bought this flat. And they invited him for a flat warming ceremony. And then, he was curious. And he was teaching also at the same time. So he asked the couple that invited him, so what belongs to you? Do you own the floor? No, no, Swamiji. That is the ceiling of the fellow, living below. So do you own the ceiling? No, no, no. That is the floor of the fellow living above. So do you own the walls? No, no, no. The inside walls are, the next fellow's kitchen and that other person's, living room. And the outside walls you must definitely own. No, no, no. Those belong to the cooperative society in who built this flat. Then what really belongs to you? Space. The space where everything is enclosed. The walls don't belong to you. The ceiling doesn't belong to you. The floor doesn't belong to you. So what belongs is space. So can you say you own space? Very funny. So this way, all this insecurity is what prompts the walls. So walls are built on the plinth, on the foundation of insecurity. Really. But then, if the walls are built on insecurity, then that means what? That means when there is no insecurity, then the walls come down. Walls come down. And if you see the world history, there is a very interesting history of walls and no walls. So similarly, when the Cold War was there, Iron Curtain, there was a wall, Berlin Wall, and that came down. Now Europe is all, what is that, one market, etc., etc. But then again, now we are having all this Brexit, and then they want to have their own, their own little, independence. Same movements are happening in France, the conservative movement, and then same thing is happening there are shades of it in Italy. So like this, we see the whole wave of the universe when, the people are little more, I suppose, little more amenable to look into connections rather than, coming to some, rather than being worried that something that is theirs is going to be taken away. So sometimes the yearning for connection overpowers the worry of loss, of identity, or whatever it is. And in those times, what happens? We have other things that happen like global internet, globalization, and people, free movement of trade, no borders, free movement of people, etc. So those are times marked by that. It's not that the insecurity has gone. After being insecure and walling oneself in, one starts to feel lonely. I'm talking of collective trends. One starts to feel lonely. And then you want to reach out. And so when that loneliness, overpowers, and that the desire for connection and connectivity with others overpowers and suspends, or supersedes this insecurity, then you have moments of connectivity, years of connectivity, or an era of connectivity. And then, same thing happens because of that connectivity. Then you start getting nervous. Oh, what will happen to my people? What will happen to me? And everybody, all the jobs are going somewhere and something is happening. And then you want to shrink, and then more, more walls, more protection, more privacy. And then after that you get sick of it. You want to expand. Then you want to shrink. Then you want to expand. Then you want to shrink again. This is what is Kali. Kali means this is the strife You see this very clearly in all the global movements. If you look at history, you see this. You see this in the, you see this in ancient history, in medieval history, in contemporary history. You see this. You see these trends, and these trends are nothing but human tendencies of that very fine balance between wanting connection and then this insecurity that overpowers any kind of a hope for connection. Because when you connect, you have to share, and sharing means you have to give up, and giving up means you're insecure that what will happen to me. Yeah, I may share, but the other person is not going to give back. All these fears. And so therefore what? So therefore this is the whole problem with the with ignorance, self ignorance. So when self ignorance speaks, it especially in collectivity, then there is cacophony. Nothing makes sense. Suddenly everybody huddles, because we can't stand difference. We only want people like us. And then suddenly everybody says, oh, let's just go and embrace the whole world because I have this wonderful feeling of connectivity. This is Kali. Makes no sense because up and down all around. And as this Kali manifests in this conflict is the one that is free of conflict. That Bhagavan is to be discovered in this stressful, strife-ridden, conflict-ridden, fearful, tearful life. There is no other place and see Bhagavan, because Bhagavan is not out of this universe. Having created the universe, Bhagavan went, oh no, what have I done? Let me get out of here before it explodes. Like the people who plant a bomb, so they plant a bomb, they take out the pin, tick, 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 whatever it is there, and you have to run fast out of the range of the explosion, So this is what it is. So it's not like Bhagavan has done that, has made this, has created this explosive universe which is so irrational, where people don't know what they want, and where people want what they can never get, and where people cannot make peace with what they have. Even if they had wanted it, they want to get rid of it. And where people are just, bored and tired and upset and insecure, a whole lot of them. And then what? And then they create more insecurity in the process of trying to get rid of the insecurity. And then what happens? And then you just have to say Om Namaha. So right here in this conflict, right here in this irrational, illogical, set of events, relationships, inventions, things, and entities, that makes no sense whatsoever, is that wise Bhagavan who is all knowledge and who is not touched by that strife. And you are that Bhagavan because you are also not touched by that strife. Even the one who says, I'm really stressed, is commenting on the fact that, that I am the witness of the stress. One is not witless, one is the witness. So, this is something, very beautiful, this verse. And more we shall see now. Let us see where it is. So, in this strife-ridden universe alone, we can find the subtlest of the subtlest, that Sachidananda, that which is not outside of my own existence, my own awareness, that consciousness which, because of the bestowal of a certain status called Vishvasya Srashta, the creator of the universe, in relation to the universe, that consciousness has a status. And the consciousness that is as though associated with this body, mind, sense complex also has a status. What is that? Insecure, irrelevant, idiot. That is the status. Lonely, alienated. That is the status. So, but then it is Aneka Rupa. It is at once the whole universe with, with myriad names and forms. It is not separate from that. But then again, immediately we start to think, Bhagavan is not separate from the universe. Universe is Bhagavan, so Bhagavan has become the universe. A myth that is dispelled in line 3. Vishwasya ekam. That ekam does everything. Ekam means one. Vishwasya ekam pariveshtitaram. Pariveshtitaram, from wish to surround. Pari plus wish, the one who totally surrounds, the one who totally envelops, pervades the universe. But that one is one alone, one non-dually one alone, and that one alone has to be understood as what? As myself. That's what the last line is going to say. But here, Vishwasya ekam pariveshtitaram. Ekam means non-dually one. Because here, in line number 2, we had said Vishwasya Srashtaram Aneka Rupam. And here that Aneka, not one, has become Eka. Is that a contradiction? We have to say no. This is an Upanishadic presentation of the empirical reality of many names and forms. Vyavaharika Satta, the empirical reality where you see many forms and names, and then that is the spoof. Because from the standpoint of the Paramarthika Satta, the absolute reality, it is Eka. Vyavaharika from the standpoint of the, what is that? The transactional reality, it is many. So how did the one become many? Just like in your dream, how did the many become one? It did not really become many in order to become one again. It did not really become many. If it had really become many, it couldn't have become one again. You cannot. You take a piece of string and cut it into 10 pieces. You cannot make it one again. Maybe you can join it to make, have knots. But that's not what we are talking about. So if it is one, how did it become many? Because it's just like the dream. It's a projection. And in the projection, there is pervasion. It is not a projection without pervasion. The projection and the pervasion happen simultaneously. It's not like it is projected and then Bhagavan entered the projection. No. The projection and the entry, the projection and the pervasion happen simultaneously and effortlessly. It's just on the sankalpa itself, just the intention itself that I have pervaded this whole thing makes the pervasion happen effortlessly. And then what? Where is this pervasion happening? Kalilasya madhye. Not in, one would think that Satchidananda proliferating and pervading everything should be a beautiful sight, should be, wonderful, should be all the, what is that called, all such lovely thing. Bhagavan is pervading the whole universe, so it should be just blessings everywhere. Everything should look auspicious to me. Everything should happen wonderfully. No. Blessing is happening in the midst of strife, nay, sometimes in the form of that strife itself. Sometimes conflict is a blessing, strife is a blessing. Even a dysfunctional relationship is a blessing because you learn something from it. Even if the only thing that one learns is I have to get out of it, that is a very big learning. So therefore, this is something one has to see that there is no contradiction here. So this proliferation and this quote-unquote becoming many is just giving the satta one's existence, lending one existence. So Bhagavan is lending the existence to all the things in this jagat and lending the chit, lending that sentience and existence to everything limitlessly. That's why Aneka Rupam, the form is non-separate from one, and then essentially Eka. So we have both Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana here together. Swarupa Lakshana means those indicatory words that point to the essential nature of Bhagavan, which is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam or Satchidananda. That which is existence, that which the only thing that is existent, the only thing that is what is limitless, and the only thing that is all knowledge. So that is the essential Swarupa of Bhagavan, which was talked about, which is going to be talked about in line number 3. Vishwasya, Vishwasya Ekam, that Ekam is enough. And then what? The Tatastha as the status of being the creator of the universe is given in the lines 1 and 2. Sukshmat, Sukshmam, Sukshma, Ati Sukshmam. Ati Sukshmam means subtler than the subtlest. Right here in the midst of strife, conflict, resentment, fear, jealousy, anger, envy, gluttony, sloth, overconsumption, adharma, non-righteousness, all this, that Bhagavan is there. You see, then this is very beautiful because we escape the trap of a lot of Abrahamic traditions which maintain that God is good. This is a setup. God is good unless something bad happens to me, then God is bad. It's a subjective setup. It's one's own projection of what God is rather than looking at the situation and objectively. And so the Upanishad gives a very sophisticated understanding of Ishvara, that God is neither good nor bad. Bhagavan simply is. And in the middle of conflict, you can still, discover this Bhagavan in you, as you, none separate from you. Very, very beautiful. So, Kalilasya Madhye, in the middle of this strife, manufactured by the vestiges of my ignorance and those of others, the strife that is manufactured by my own insecurity, by my own fears, by my own tears, all this strife that has come and all this, back and forth, it's where people rush into this mall. That's why I spell mall M-A-U-L, only to get mauled, and then what? And there are photos that come the next day on TV where one thing they are, people are snatching, and then on the other end somebody is pulling that same object you want. This just, and this just symbolizes what is happening in the Jagat. So the Black Friday sale, we cannot, blame, because that is what is, it's just a upalakshana, it's a microcosm of what is happening in the whole Jagat. My insecurity and the ability to, and my ability to grab on to things and hold on to things are always at the center of strife. If I let go, there is no strife. What strife is there? When nothing is there to protect, I cannot be in a situation of strife. And you may say, I'm not so attached to things. People who say that sometimes are attached to their own opinions. They don't let go of their own opinions. So the one that is willing to let go, there is no strife. What strife is there? What can be there? Cannot be there. And so the strife itself, the Kali itself, is a brewing time where the manifest insecurity is just rampant, collectively and individually. And because of the abiding pervasion of this insecurity, you don't see how Bhagavan is pervading the universe right in the middle of this insecurity. So the insecurity, it's also not separate from Bhagavan. Oh, then I should continue to be insecure? No, the ability to remove the insecurity, also a gift of Bhagavan, non-separate from Bhagavan. And so this is, so right here, Bhagavan has to be discovered. Right here means also what? Right now. Right now, Bhagavan has to be discovered. Right here in you, as you, Bhagavan has to be discovered. And, as what? As one that is non-separate from the strife and from this manyness. There is only oneness. Because when you say, for example, flower exists, another flower exists, what is the common between one flower and another flower? That existence. The existence does not belong to the flower. Otherwise, the flower will continue to be is. Flower is, flower is, flower is. Flower, that isness shifts from the flower. Flower is, and then what? Wilted flower is, compost is, withered flower is, compost is, and then another flower bush is, another flower is. It's a shifting isness That isness shifts from rupa to rupa, nama to nama, therefore, but that isness does not belong to the thing, it belongs to Bhagavan. So that's what it is. That's what I have to see, that there is a oneness in that manyness. And so Vishwasya Ekam Pariveshtitaram, the one who is that oneness, that one being, which is non-separate from, me, which is, you know, proliferated as this universe, spread as this universe, pervading the whole universe without becoming the universe, without undergoing any change whatsoever, like in the dream. I may dream that I become a donkey, but when I wake up, I don't have a donkey face, thank God. And so like this, the one who is in the form of everything, Jnatva, very important word, last line, first word, Jnatva, knowing what? Shivam Shantim Atyantam eti gains. Yeah, from in gatau, gains, attains what? Shanti, peace. This is contrasted with the one before, Kalila, strife. So from strife to peace, the opposite of Kali is Shanti, where one is at peace with oneself. Yeah, and one is at peace with everything. Otherwise, one is in pieces. So from being in pieces to being at peace with oneself, that is what is talking about. Being at peace with the Jagat, being at peace with Bhagavan, being, at peace with everything. Shantim Atyeti. What kind of Shanti? Atyantam. Ati antam. Atyantam Shantim. Atyanta means that a peace which has no ending. Unending peace. Ati antam. Antam atitya gacchati. That which transcends all ending. Because the kind of peace that we know is that which is fraught with endings. I was happy and peaceful for half an hour. Why? Because I meditated. I was happy and peaceful for 8 hours. Why? Because I slept. I was happy and peaceful for 1 hour. Why? Because I was watching my favorite TV channel. So this is the peace that we are used to in the daily life. This is the peace that one is used to. A peace that comes, a peace that goes. A peace that comes piece by piece. That is the peace. But here, Shanti Matyantam means a peace that is beyond all endings, limitless peace. And Shivam, auspiciousness. Jnatva Shivam, Shivam here is in apposition with all the words here. Pariveshtitaram, Vishwasya Ekam, Srishtaram, Sukshmadati Sukshmam. So, all these words point to one being that is in the second case. That is who? That Shivam, that Shivam which has all these other adjectives for this Shivam. The one that is, here we are not talking Shiva. We are not talking of Shiva as in that Bhagavan, a particular form, but we are talking the meaning of the word Shiva, which means all auspicious. There's nothing unlucky. There's no bad karma, no papa, no fears, nothing, inauspicious. And that Shiva is me alone. When one understands, one will gain this limitless Shanti. The Upanishad is going to reveal, and we'll continue with this, next time. Okay? Yeah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all for coming. Oh, oh, nice to see all of you. Yes. Amber, I'm glad you're taking this regularly. Very nice. Continue to study. Good. Strife of all sizes, can it help us to have perspective? Yeah, that's the whole idea. We need perspective. This is what helps. You don't personalize it. That's what perspective means. You globalize it. When you personalize it, you feel it's directed against you and you feel affected. But you globalize it, then it becomes much more sane. Yeah. Oh.